Do you ever feel a deeper disconnect even with hundreds of online friends? In a world drowning in digital interactions, true connection can feel like a mythical beast. This story dives into how we can bridge that digital chasm and rediscover genuine human bonds, moving beyond the likes and into real life. It was 2:13 a.m., and my phone screen glowed softly in the dark room. I lay there scrolling, thumb flicking through faces, people laughing at brunch, showing off new jobs, vacation sunsets, engagement rings, perfect smiles. I double-tapped a few, half out of habit, half out of a strange longing I couldn't name. Some of those faces belonged to people I once knew deeply. Others were strangers whose lives I only glimpsed through filtered squares. My notifications told me I had hundreds of friends, thousands of followers, but in that moment I couldn't think of a single person I could call. That's the paradox of our time. We're more connected than ever, yet lonelier than we've ever been. It wasn't always like this. There was a time when conversations meant sitting across from someone, watching their expressions, feeling their laughter ripple through the air. Now my relationships lived in the realm of text bubbles and heart emojis. Social media had become my comfort zone and my cage. I convinced myself that I was keeping up with people, when really, I was keeping a safe distance. Every story I watched, every comment I left, gave me the illusion of closeness. But beneath that digital warmth was a deep, cold emptiness. I started noticing how performative everything had become, not just for others but for me too. Before posting a photo, I'd agonize over filters and captions, trying to strike that perfect balance between effortless and impressive. Even messages became performances. I'd type, delete, retip, crafting replies that made me sound interesting, funny, or wise. I wasn't talking. I was curating. And in all that editing, the real me got lost. There's a particular kind of ache that comes from scrolling through everyone else's highlight reel when you're reliving through your own behind-the-scenes chaos. I'd see old classmates buying houses, friends getting married, influencers traveling the world, and wonder, why not me? Every success story online felt like a silent indictment of my own stagnation. I knew logically that people only showed their best moments, that life was more complicated than a caption. But emotionally, it didn't matter. The comparison had already sunk its claws in. My worth became entangled with metrics, likes, views, comments. I'd post something and then anxiously check for validation, refreshing every few minutes. If a post didn't perform well, I'd delete it, as if the lack of engagement made it unworthy of existence. It's strange how invisible you can feel in a crowd of thousands. One Friday evening, after a long week of mindless scrolling, I decided to meet up with an old friend, Mara. We hadn't seen each other in over a year, but had kept in touch through reactions and brief DMs. I was nervous. What if we didn't click anymore? What if face-to-face conversation felt awkward after so long behind screens? When I arrived, she was already sitting at the coffee table, phone in hand. We exchanged polite smiles, both of us a little hesitant. But something changed once we started talking. Slowly, our walls began to lower. We talked about real things, her burnout at work, my loneliness, the exhaustion of pretending online. At one point, she sighed and said, "You know what's crazy? I post pictures all the time of my perfect mornings, but I can't remember the last time I actually felt okay." We both laughed softly at the irony. It was like confessing to an open secret we'd both been living. For the first time in months, I felt genuinely connected, not through a comment, not through a like, but through presence. That night, walking home under the streetlights, I felt lighter than I had in ages. It struck me how different it felt to share a moment in person, the pauses, the tone, the warmth of human energy. No filter could capture that kind of authenticity. I realized how much I'd been starving for it. Connection, real connection, isn't about constant contact. It's about depth. It's about letting someone see the messy, unfiltered, unpolished parts of you. The parts you don't post. Somewhere along the way, I had mistaken visibility for intimacy, validation for value, followers for friends. But the truth is, 1,000 hearts on a screen can't replace the feeling of one person truly understanding you. After that evening, I started making small changes. I deleted a few social apps from my phone. I began calling people instead of texting. I met friends for coffee, joined a local book club, started volunteering once a week. At first, it felt uncomfortable, even awkward. I didn't know how to fill silences without checking my phone. But slowly something shifted. I started noticing little details, the way someone's eyes lit up when they laughed, the comfort of shared silence, the raw honesty of being fully present. And interestingly, the more I connected in real life, the less I felt the need to prove anything online. My self-worth stopped depending on algorithms. One evening, I found myself sitting at a park bench, chatting with a stranger about their dog. It wasn't deep or life-changing, but it was real. A small, genuine moment that reminded me of something I'd forgotten. We were built to connect, not just through screens, but through souls. It's easy to get lost in the noise, the constant pings, the scrolling, the curated lives that make us feel both included and excluded at the same time. But behind all of that, there's a quiet truth waiting to be remembered. Human connection doesn't live in pixels. It lives in presence. Sometimes all it takes is looking up from the screen to realize how much life is happening right in front of us. The laughter of a friend, the comfort of a hug, the beauty of shared silence. We don't need to disconnect from technology completely, but we do need to reconnect with each other, with what's real. Because at the end of the day, when the notifications fade and the screens go dark, what remains are the moments we lived, the people we touched, and the connections we built beyond the digital walls. And maybe, just maybe, that's where we find ourselves again.